Are you feeling as though the money you're making is just not enough? As goods and commodities and other things start to skyrocket in price, the one thing that has been staying the same is salary. And I know having those conversations around compensation when it comes to you at work can be sometimes very difficult, especially within this job market. Whether you're looking for new work and you're like, hey, I need to get this salary that I need to move my family forward, or whether you're at a current role and they're simply not paying you enough for your time and your effort. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 strategies that I found to be very effective when it comes to negotiating your salary. Before we get started, please, if you like this video, please like the video, and please subscribe to the channel if you would like more content similar to this, as I post every single Friday. I'm here to help you all become the best professionals you can, and I'm happy to always have these conversations. But with that said, and without further ado, let's jump right in. There have been so much layoffs, especially from big companies such as Google, such as Microsoft. Even the government has been laying off folks. And the honest truth is that this job market has probably been one of the most difficult job markets I've seen in my lifetime. So therefore, it becomes a market where there's a lot of people who are looking for work, and there's not much work out there to be given. I've actually spoken to plenty of job seekers across my time who have been looking for whether 6 months to a whole year, and they, my friends, have been consistently talking about the difficulties of just simply landing a role. But through those conversations, I noticed something, and I noticed that these strategies were the most effective to not only landing a role, but landing a role where you, my friend, can make well over what was on the job description. So let's just get straight into it and start with strategy number 1. And that strategy is do the upfront work, right? What does that mean? In this particular stage, you should be doing everything you can during that application process to maximize your potential of being seen as the expert in your field or in that position. So what does that look like? Well, for starters, making sure that you tailor your resume to all of the job descriptions that you are applying for. Number 2, go out there and actually put together a cover letter. I know a lot of folks would tell you cover letters aren't needed, but this is your first step forward. This is your first impression. And honestly, your resume and your cover letter are going to speak volumes way before you even get to talk to anyone. So you want to do the best that you can in this particular space. Number 3, you want to start gathering information. Make sure the information you are gathering about the company can help you along the interview process and the application process. And don't avoid those questions that you see in the application where you're like, I don't feel like doing this application is taking a very long time. Look, the reality is those that are going out there that are doing above and beyond are those are the ones that are getting the jobs that you might be missing out on. But this is also your first impression. This is what you get to say to that particular person way before they even meet you. Now, to even make this opportunity even better, you might want to start looking for you in your network, people who can possibly refer you to roles, or go out there and actually start networking and meeting new individuals and talking about what you do and what are some problems that they might have, or maybe they might have a role that needs to be filled. But if you're not having those conversations, you're not networking, you're not going to find those referrals, and that's the biggest thing. You want someone else other than the application bot to put that resume on the hiring manager's table. And you, my friend, are going to be able to do that if you can find somebody within the organization that can kind of be a sponsor, so to speak, and get your paperwork across to the table. And this is just that first strategy of negotiation. The second strategy is perfecting the interview process. Look, after you got your application in, after you've sold them on the fact that they should speak to you, you have to now actually be able to speak to your experience while tying it to their company values and solving the problem that that company might have. And every person, no matter what they tell you, are going to have some issues that that role particularly solves. You just have to be the one to actually figure out what that is and how to best tailor your conversations to support improving that problem. I'll give you an example. One time I interviewed with someone and they kept going back about processes and how they need to document processes. That was a problem that I kept in mind, and I began to speak on those things while I was giving my examples on how I address process improvements in my previous role. Next, show up to the interview prepared. Have a couple of questions that you have prepared and ready to go that's going to help you move forward in that interview process. Look, if you're speaking with HR, and that first interview is normally a phone screening, it is a perfect time to have some of those questions that you can ask them so that you can take that information and move forward into the next round. An example would be, hey, what is the best characteristics of someone who will be fantastic in the vacant role that you have? And listen to what the HR person might say. They may not be able to give you the exact details here, but I'm sure they'll be able to articulate to you what the hiring manager has told them as the characteristics that would be successful, because they're looking for something in you to move you forward into the next round. You have to find out what it is so that you can continue to speak on that within the next round. Before you get into any other interviews, you should be constantly making a list of questions. These questions should be asking problem-solving issues, right? So you should be asking them what's going on in their business, what is a problem that this role solves, how can this role help the team, finding out what it is that you're going to provide as a service to them, but what pain points that they have. Be the person and be the interviewee who identifies the problems and provides solutions through your own experience. You should be keeping at least a couple of case studies in your back pocket to talk about from your experience. What that looks like is, if they're having a conversation, they ask you a particular question, when have you dealt with a difficult stakeholder? You shouldn't have to be fumbling through that. You should be prepared already to say, well, on this particular project that is similar to the projects that you do, here's where I dealt with a difficult stakeholder. Tying it back to their business is the best way to make them think of you as an expert that they need to hire. Now that you've perfected the interview process and now that you did a fantastic job in your application, the next thing you need to do is to gather information and your leverage. In this part of the strategy, you should be asking as much questions as you can to anyone you can that you can use to leverage later. Examples being, was this role vacant or is this a new role? That is a great question to ask to understand how much pressure they're on to fill this gap. Is this role needing to be filled immediately? That's another reason or way that you can identify whether they need to fill this gap. What are some of the experts that they had before that didn't quite work out? Those are some questions that you can ask to better understand what it is they're looking for, how you can solve their problem, and what it is that you need to bring to the table and show them in the interview process or anytime they speak to you. That also includes emails, because when you're sending emails, you want to send emails with some form of information just carrying back to the conversation that you had with them. Then you want to also have conversations about the overall business or the department and how it ties into the overall business. Make sure that you're tying your information and what you do to the overall picture, because you want to show them that not only are you thinking about your role, you're thinking about the problem that you can solve, but you're also thinking about how does this tie into the overall organization strategy. This is key. And if you do a little bit more research, you should be going on their social media, you should be going on their LinkedIn, you should be reviewing their Glassdoor, you should be reviewing their website. Get as much information as you possibly can so that when you're conversating with them, you can pull that information out and show them, I'm very much invested and I have the skills and expertise to land this job. And the reason why is because once you know what they're looking for, you can always tailor your conversation to solving their problem. Because that is the big reason they're hiring. They are hiring you to solve a problem. And if you're not able to show and demonstrate that effectively, they're not going to choose you, let alone even negotiate with you. So those are my 3 strategies. Do the upfront work first, meaning resume, application, cover letter, and any other information gathering you can. Then perfect the interview process. You have to interview well, but you have to be prepared to talk about them and their problems and how do you solve it as the expert. And then finally, gather information and leverage. You want to find information that you can leverage to then negotiate with. And I know you're listening saying to yourself, well, we haven't even gotten to the offer or the fact that there is any negotiation to happen. We're just getting through the process. And that is exactly what you need to do to negotiate. You have to be able to perfect the process of applying, interviewing, and then speaking to your experience. That is how you start the negotiation. You need to show them, hey, I stand out a cut above the rest, and here's why you need need to pay me because I have this expertise that you need to solve your problem effectively. And here's the kicker. Once they can see that in you, once they can see, okay, this person may not take long to train, this person is ready and eager to go, this person is asking all the right questions, they're intuitive, I don't have to help this person want to help us, you'll be more inclined to actually start negotiating better. I think people always lose sight of the fact that negotiation doesn't happen when you get the offer. It happens by how well you sell yourself throughout the process. And the truth is, selling yourself isn't about you. It's all about solving their problems. Convince them that you can solve their problems and then show them why they need to pay you what you are deserving. And once you take it in that, once you look at the interview process and hiring in that aspect, I guarantee you'll be increasing your salary each and every new role that you pick up and move forward. And it's okay if they decide not to move forward with you. Sometimes you have to be okay with simply walking away. That is your greatest power, and sometimes that might be the only thing you have, especially if they're not willing to budge. The truth is, you cannot come across desperate. If they fear or hear or smell desperation on you, they are going to ensure that you do not get the salary you're looking for, because there are plenty of other professionals who are out there. If you are not showing them that you're a cut above the rest and you are mediocre or average like everyone else, they are going to go with the cheaper average person. What you need to show them is that you are so far above the others that they have to pay you this to solve their problem. That is your goal throughout all of the conversations. And that is how you negotiate your salary. Simply by implementing those strategies and showing them that they need you. I hope you found this video helpful. If you would like me to discuss how to actually push back on an offer, please hit the like button. But with that said, my name is Darius. I'm here to help you be the best professional you can be. I hope you found this video helpful. And like I said, I put video and content out like this every single Friday. So please like the video and please subscribe to the channel for more content like this one. I appreciate you for watching to the end, and I hope you have a fantastic day.